I always say for co-living that it's single family appreciation with multifamily returns, which I think is pretty simple or similar to what you
Yep.
just said.
Spot on.
So man, I'm a huge believer in co-living. That's why I'm able to actually travel the world. That's my main source of income to live my lifestyle is through co-living. So
Love it, man.
love it, and we can kind of nerd out for a couple minutes on this topic because I think people want to know, when did you buy that place in Boise?
We closed on January 12th, 2024, and then I rehabbed. It took about 2 months. By April 1st, it was ready, marketing, and then here's one thing I will say: the numbers sound great, but don't get me wrong, there's always challenges, right? There's always challenges in real estate, anything that you do. And so for me, we had to carry for over just about 2 months. We had to carry, holding costs, the mortgage, and the utilities of it. So that kind of gets factored in. But I'll tell you, once you're cash flowing and you have that freedom like you do, Jesse, I mean, like, that's it's all worth the fight, right? We got to fight. Anything you want good in life, you have to fight for it. But so many times people give up just at the first glance of, or like Mike Tyson says, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And it's like the first time you get punched in the mouth, if you quit and run away, like, you got to understand, real estate's a fight, business is a fight. Those that are strongest and that have the most endurance usually are the ones that you're watching in 5 years on Instagram traveling the world like you're doing, right? So you get to choose who you want to be. I chose to fight, and I will say, I'll leave it with this: is I share the challenges too, because I don't want to ever paint a false illusion that of like, oh, there's no challenges, life's amazing. That's not true. I have challenges just like all of you out there that are listening. Me and Jesse might just be 1, 2, or 3 steps ahead of you. But again, if you think the way we think and do what we do, you'll have what we have, and you'll be, traveling the world with Jesse and the whole crew here soon. So
I would actually love to talk about some challenges because I think people don't talk about that. Like, you on my Instagram, and as like very transparent as I am, I still look at it. I'm like, this is a highlight reel. Like I don't think people want to see pictures of like when my ceiling caved in or yesterday. I mean, it is like it's a catch-22 because I'm literally at Nikki Beach in Monaco, poolside with my what I have. I think I had like a mojito, and I'm getting a text saying your AC unit goes out. That's 8 grand. I'm like, well, that wasn't budgeted, within the month of July. But guess what? There's nothing I can do about it now. So I got to have a good mindset first, which I think most people, when they have these challenges come up, they're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, I'm on the other side of the world. So let me actually first just breathe and be like, okay, $8,000 is not, it's a good amount of money,
yeah,
right? And so I was like, all right, you know what? I thank God I have a house manager in place. Thank God I got this. I just remember everything I'm grateful for. But then also it's like, okay, how do we counterbalance these things that happen? So 8 grand, and I just want to shout out co-living again because most people, that's a whole year of cash flow.
or
If
more.
you're making a couple $100 a month, that's a multiple years of cash flow gone.
Yeah.
For you and I, for one of my properties, it cash flows like $4,500. So that's like 2 months of cash flow. So, guys, just want to say co living is amazing again. Is there anything else that you would say that has been a challenge with co living?
I mean, you know, I'll say this before I jump into that. We were talking about action. Most of the time, I love Alex Hermosi's quote. I think it was, confidence comes from taking action. And if I would rather go do something and learn it and fail at it than reading every book around, the whole entire topic, wasting years and having a good theory. There's so many people out there, they're book rich, but they're action poor, right? And it's like, there's one thing you could see that it's common through all successful people is they're the ones that take action first. Now, don't get me wrong, you got to have some understanding because you don't want to waste time or money learning. So there's this delicate, I'll call it a tension, where you got to take action, but you got to have to understand what you're doing. So there's like, go get 80% of the information, start applying it, and you'll accelerate. um so getting back to your question is like, I learned by doing. And one of the things, the property is about 20, 30 minutes from us, depending on traffic. And I was going down every showing. I didn't want my wife to walk the house alone with a guy or anything like that. So I would go down. And after a while, I was like, man, why am I doing this? And I'm not even living there. So, and that, yes, we are self managing it. Why? Because again, we want to learn the ins and outs of this. What are the challenges that come up? How do we handle certain things? Eventually, we're going to hand the reins off, but I always like to know how to do it myself first. But I started thinking, like, why not have one of my tenants be the one that shows the property? I'll give them a $50 discount per month for showing the property because they're going to be living with the person. And now that saves me time, energy, probably saves me well over $50 in gas. And that person in the house can say, "What do you think?" We do a phone interview, but what do you think? And so that I wouldn't have learned that unless I started having to go through that challenge first, right? But then there's people, you learn that the biggest thing for us, and this is big, like I learned this from my pastor in our church, is like we're all about culture. And so I'm like, man, I want an epic culture in my house. I don't want people that are just complainers and they have a problem to pick with everyone and they're just OCD about everything. It's like I want a culture of people that are really cool, fun to get along with. And so we've turned money down so that we could have a great culture. Someone doesn't fit our culture, they're not in. So, but that's the challenge. It's, again, that's money out of our pocket because we're protecting the culture. Because here's the thought process: I'd rather have long-term clients that all get along, and I have mental freedom. Right? We talked about that earlier. Mental freedom for the long run than the short-term income with the problems coming later. And that's just, again, a different way of thinking. Some people, they don't care. They're like, I'll deal with it when it deals with it. That's their thought process. But I don't want to be the guy when me and my wife and kids are in Hawaii having this, 4 phone calls from roommates saying someone didn't take out the trash. Like, I don't know. Right. So anyway, culture is big, but the challenges that we faced, we haven't faced a ton, but only because Sam did a great job in the system that we implemented, but we're also adopting some of the things Sam shared didn't work. And we had to pivot ourselves. This is where thinking creatively has to happen. For 2 months, we weren't really getting many people reaching out. So me and my wife, we had to test pictures. We had to test different copy on our ad. I had her do it on her Facebook. Most people might reach out to a beautiful girl than maybe me. And so we just tested. And that's a part of entrepreneurship is you have to test, you have to try. And the biggest thing I always tell clients, whether they succeed or lose, is did you take your swing? And we are taking our swing. And if we strike out, I can live with that the rest of my life. At least I took my swing. But I didn't want to be the guy who said, what if I would have tried that real estate thing? What if I would have went to that event? What if I would have jumped into that online community? What could have happened to my life? Where could I be by now? I don't ever want to do that. So take your swing. When you get an opportunity to invest in a deal, to go to an event, like I saw you, Jesse, the events you put on look epic. I was kind of, again, FOMO for me not being there. I was like, I want to be there. But if you guys want to go to his event or, when he starts an online community, jump in, take your swing. Money comes and goes, time doesn't. So hope that helps.